Hey friends, I am RanDee Camille and this is Sports Society. Now, basketball has taken me through an amazing journey and I've been able to meet some amazing people along the way and a lot of people that I call friends. But the guest that we have here today, I consider her more than just a friend. I always say that this is my sister friend. And to have her on here is such an honor. And when you hear her journey and what she has gone through that led her to the place that she is today, it's not only going to be relatable, but we also going to have a good time. With that being said, I'll start with her government name. We got the Miss Delonda Little here with us today, but we're going to go about what you most famous by and what everybody really call you, D Little.
D
So welcome.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it, you having me here today. My voice is a little hoarse, excuse me, but I'm going to talk it through.
We're going to make it through. It's basketball season, and we also are in Michigan where they can't make a decision if we're going to have 50-degree weather or 3-degree weather.
Correct.
So that's such as life. So we're going to get through it. But thank you for being here, and I really wanted you to take us all the way back. So let's just go back to high school and where that sports journey began and what led you to there. So I just think sometimes I don't want to go all the way back, but this is quite a piece that can't be left out.
Okay, and you're right. My story is very unique, and I don't think anybody who's played basketball probably had the same route that I actually took to get to where I am. So as you know, and maybe I should explain, I didn't play basketball until my junior year. I've always played sports, volleyball and softball from 5th grade all the way up, but those were the only two sports that I played. So when I got to Osborne, I was asked to play basketball, and I had never picked up a basketball, so of course I said no.
And what we do know about high school sports is if a coach see you in the hallway, and if you got any height, any type of girth, whatever is the case, boys or girls, they stopping you and saying, you want to play? You want to play?
That's exactly what happened. And so, ironically, I was on the volleyball team, and the volleyball team was all Asian, and I was the only African American. So on my volleyball team in high school. But nonetheless, I played, and then the coach saw me, and of course he like, hey, come play basketball. And I'm like, I never played basketball ever, never. So long story short, I had a friend whose father was like, he wasn't an assistant coach, but he helped out with the team. So he said, hey, listen, we need you. If you come, you're athletic. We can show you how to, rebound. We show you how to play. And I'm like, okay. And so funny story is I took a whole summer and played basketball, which was like at the 4-H club. I don't know if you guys heard of that, but it's on the east side. And that's where I learned to play. Like he would take me there every day, show me how to dribble, show me how to shoot. Ironically, the only thing that I could do was catch the ball. Like I could literally get the rebound because I could jump. And then after that, they had to come get it.
You could do that point, right. The rest, don't let me dribble
don't
or
let
do
me
anything
do
else.
anything else. Right? So when I played that junior year, I didn't play in games. I only played in like 2 games. Yeah. He didn't play me that much, but I was a rebounder, so I knew my role. Get the ball and let the guard come get it.
Yes.
So my senior year is when I got an opportunity to play a little bit more. I didn't start, but I still played in approximately, I want to say about 8 or 9 games during the season. We did have a really good team in my senior year in high school, and I was just basically following a role.
Yeah.
So that's my high school career. After high school, a couple things happened, and I know I don't want to, it's a couple different things happened, and for good reason. I always say my story is in divine order. My grandma got sick, and she was asked me to stay with her, which would have been that summer. And my summer of my senior year, I had plenty of offers to go play volleyball because I was a state, all-state volleyball player. So I had all the D1s. I was pretty much committed to University of Tennessee. And what happened when she got sick, it was like, okay, stay here, help her through, get well. And at that time, my parents and my family had moved to Cleveland. Mm-hmm. And that's how, long story short, my dad worked at Chrysler. They relocated, so I stayed with her. And so during that summer, I played basketball. And I just played pickup on the playground at the end of the block and just continued to play, right? Because I thought this was a fun thing to do, and I wanted to learn. I wanted to get better, and I ended up playing pickup ball down in Wayne State, and with another teammate.
I gotta pause you for a second because that was the epitome place to go and play for girls.
Right.
And even in my era coming through, we talking decades worth. Going in the summer to play at Wayne State, it would be upwards of 30, 35 girls, women, whatever that would show up.
That is so true.
There. And it was the hottest gym ever, no air, nothing, but we loved every
in the Math Eye Center.
In the Math Eye Center. Okay, we also gonna know why that's that. We'll tell you later why that's the D Little Center, but we'll get to that a little bit later. So okay, you playing basketball at Wayne State.
Playing Wayne State in the summer. Now, back up a little bit. Now again, I just so happened a friend of mine had a scholarship there. This was one of my teammates from Osborne who was a senior. And she ended up having her first year at Wayne State. So she like, hey, come play pickup with us, you know. And I'm like, okay, I'll go down. And at that time, the volleyball coach at Wayne State had recruited me during that year too. But again, I took this whole year off because I'm there with my grandmother and making sure she's good. So I didn't even go to school after I graduated from high school. So yeah, I'm down there playing pickup, and the coach see me. And they have like a window glass, just like you said, we got 30 or 35 women, but again, the competition didn't come till later in life, right? Now, in my era, when we first started playing at Wayne State, it wasn't that competitive, right. So I probably looked good, to make a long story short. So the coaches watching and throughout the glass around the gym, and they see me down there, and they start inquiring. And one day they asked me to come up, and they offered me a scholarship, and I thought, I was kind of shocked because like I said, I told them my story, and they couldn't believe that I just started playing basketball. I didn't really know how to play, and they wanted me. No, you're a rebounder. We could use you. And when they offered me a scholarship, here come the volleyball coach. So he's like, hey, you here at Wayne State? We're gonna give you a dual scholarship. And that's how I end up at Wayne State. But my first year, I played both volleyball and basketball. I got quite a few accolades in basketball, which was included freshman of the year. Don't ask me how all of this stuff happened. I swear to God, my life is in divine order.
I'm telling you, it was meant to be, because when you just start talking about where the journey takes you, and that's the whole point when we sit here and we have these conversations. You just never know where it can lead you and what could be your guide. And it was funny, when I was in high school, the volleyball coach wanted me so bad. And he like, come on, RanDee, just play. And I said, well, I don't know how to play volleyball. And he said, I can teach height. I can teach you how to play volleyball, but I can't teach you how to be tall. So I need your height, okay? Like, I need you to come join the team because I can teach you the rest. And so thinking about those coaches and the fact that you had the height, you had the rebounding down, and it's certain hustle. I really boggle this question in my mind that how do you teach somebody how to work hard, right? And I know you as a player, I know you as a person, like you just work hard in general.
That's it.
And when you see that as a coach, or even when we see it as referees, it's like, that's it. Like that gets you further than talent. Because that work ethic is everything.
And it helped that all of my friends that played softball played basketball. And they kept saying, come on, come on, come on. Now, I did not play summer basketball with them. I didn't do that. But the only time one time I went to Wayne State with one of my former teammates is when I got offered a scholarship. And it's so amazing. I swear to God, God has really been in my life because, I don't mind telling my story. Both my parents used drugs. All of my life, and sports to me was an outlet. If I didn't play basketball or sports in general, I don't know where I'd be because my day ended after school. Like I was mama. Like I went home, I took care of the twins and the 3 other kids I had. It was 5 other kids. So, and I was mother. My mom and dad was gone all night, all day. We don't know when they coming back. They might be gone for a couple of days, but hey, we got food. What we got in there? We got, I make us anything that we had there. And so basically I took care of my siblings. And so when I got home, I tried to do my homework. I wasn't the best student. I didn't become a good student until I got to Wayne State, and that's because my focus was a little bit different. But in high school, I had so many distractions. you know. And when I left school, I swear when I go home, I had a whole nother life. And then after that, I get home, you know, I go to sports and I be like, yay, I'm so happy. Go to school, you know, I got sports after, but then I go home, I'm the sad little kid again. So a lot of things happen, and so I just feel like sports was definitely an outlet for me, and it basically, you know, brought me a network of other friends. I never really told my story until later on in life. Some people knew about my parents' situation or family. I wasn't ashamed of it, but I felt like some things people just didn't know. I was kind of like really private and reserved.
Yeah.
So.
And there we have it. I mean, and the power that's behind that in the sense of we know too often the stories that sports can bring you out into a different world, into less responsibility or allowing yourself to have responsibility,
To be free.
but just be free and enjoy.
Be free.
And the question I posed in lining with that story, how were you able to always remain focused in your sport, even though, or sports, because we were talking high school, even though knowing once you left school and you had to now become a sister mama, I say
Right.
my sister friend, you
Right.
became a sister mama, how were you able to still keep that focus on the court, be it volleyball, softball, basketball, that helped you through?
I think it was just, I was determined, right? I felt like this was something I really wanted to do. I put everything into it. You know, like I always tell people, I practiced like it was a game, like, and that's the truth. Like I did everything hard, and I think for me it was like I released. You know, I don't know how else to explain it. I felt like when I hit the court, whether it's volleyball, basketball, or field for softball, I wanted to be the best that I could be out there, and it was like a release of energy. I'm hitting the ball hard, you know, I'm playing real physical, or it just was to me like it was able to just be free, and I knew that, you know, I wanted to be focused in what I was doing and just be good, whether that was improving. And sometimes, and I would get in trouble, I would stay later, you know what I mean? Like I knew I had a certain time to be at home, but I would still stay later and just get in trouble when I get there, because in my mind, this was fun for me. Yes. And I knew, not that I love my siblings to death, we have our own fun. Well, you know how we are.
Absolutely.
And we still have our own fun. If you ever want to have a good time, a little party is one to show up and
to,
we still have our own
they
fun.
have a good time.
Right. Yes. It's like, you know, so, but it was a different type of fun for me. And that was, I think that's what made me stay focused, because I wanted to be there and I wanted to put everything into it.
And I think that's a lot of power that the kids need to hear now, because some of what we see as referees on the court is anger. And sometimes we know their life story, sometimes we don't know their life story. And I know we're both people that, rather than get upset with the kids, we're trying to relax them. Hey, what's going on? What's going on? Why are you acting like this today? Let's be cool. And that's just a true testament that you never know what people are going through, what's their experience, what happens when they leave that place. And that's why I always want to be a part of that encouragement to kids to say, hey, let this be your fun. Enjoy
I say
this.
That all the time.
Take it out on working harder, on doing the most, instead of being angry, because you might have the right to be angry once you leave from here, but this is the only time you have for you.
That's it. Your only me time. And I always feel like I would say this era or age groups or whatever you want to call it, I don't think they have that work ethic. I don't think they have that sense of focus. I feel like you know, during my time, it was like, hey, let's try to, you know, and we had people that helped you. You know, I think these days, I don't think enough of our sports or women or young men are helping our younger, and we got the coaches, of course, but I'm talking about our peers.
Right.
Like, you know, to push you, to make you work harder, like my friends did.
Yes.
They knew I didn't play basketball, so it was like, come on, we're going to show you, you know, this is how you do this and things like that. And I don't think they have that these days. And that work ethic that we just talked about, you just got to have that in you. And I look at some of the players now, and I'm like, she could be so good.
Could be so
or he
good.
could be so good. And we always talk about that. It's the truth. I feel like they just don't work as hard, and they don't put in that extra. And you know, nothing to the coaches, but that work ethic that we're talking about, you have to have that within yourself, and coaches can't teach that.
And it's powerful what you said in the sense that it comes from your peers as well, because Definitely, and that's how we got closer playing gym to gym and going. We was pulling up with our squad.
Exactly.
Because let's be clear, nobody else was running with us. If we was missing the fifth, and somebody would say, "All right, I'll come run with y'all," we like, "No,
we'll wait,"
because we know who we playing with. We got our 5, and we gonna go anywhere
true.
and play any league, any open gym, whatever.
And we winning.
And we was winning.
And sometimes we were winning with 4 people.
With 4 people, we would go play out
4 on
there
5.
Field, 4 people. And I'll never forget, you would think, and all of us, we could have did whatever we want, but we bought some plain jerseys and wrote our nicknames on the back of them, being goofy, because everybody thought we was going to be the worst team, and we was blowing them out.
That's it. We didn't need nothing to wear. Not for real.
And so I do bring that back, and it was the power of the peers too.
Yeah.
And I never really thought of it in that same structure because it's just all what we did. But at the same time, it was nothing for somebody to call me and say, let's go. Or if I'm like, oh, well, my car not working today, it's like, okay, well, I'm on my way. We going to play. And it's what we wanted to do. But at the same time, that is some power behind that. It's about who you hang around with and who you know.
And once I got to Wayne State, speaking of when we talked about people not knowing your story, the coaches there didn't know me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They didn't know my story. Of course, my high school teammate knew bits and pieces of it. She knew a portion of it. But, they started, trying to find out what was going on with me. I didn't have people come. My parents weren't able to come watch me play. Things got better around my junior, senior year. My parents started to sober up, go to rehab, and things got better for me in college, and they would come to games then. But I didn't have support. So when I go play, so to me, my best games were away. I didn't play good at home, but I played average at home. But when I go away, it was like, oh, new people. You know what I mean?
Like, whole new set of eyes. Let me help y'all understand that I can play. Let's be clear.
So, my best games were on the road. Yes. But I don't know why that was, but I will say I would be so excited when I did get family. Like sometimes I had an aunt or uncle that would pop up every now and then, but my whole 4 years at Wayne State, I really didn't have very much family support as far as them coming to the games to watch. But I have friends, and that's the D little crew. They would come and cheer me on, and so that would be good for me. But back to the coaches, I felt like they tried to understand me, and they pushed me to, I think they felt, and I'm not going to lie, I did have a culture shock going to Wayne State because I've only been around black people and African Americans. That was it, my whole life. Like to have a white roommate and to have white teammates and 2 white coaches, and I had to kind of learn to fit in, you know what I mean? And it was only like 3 African Americans on the team at that time, my freshman year, I must say. But I had to learn to fit in. So it was like, I was myself. Like I didn't know nothing but to be myself. But I felt like they helped me. So that diversity that I learned at Wayne State was, to me, the best thing for me. Like, I think my coaches knew that I had, trying to adapt. And so they had pictured me as this girl that grew up in Highland Park. Parents, once they started to learn my story, she come from a family where, kind of a little dysfunctional with the drug use. With her parents, and then she was taking care of everybody. Then she was taking care of her grandma. So it's like they looked at me like, okay, and then they, you need to focus. It was like my schoolwork, and I'm like, hey, I'm not, it's not that I'm not smart. I can do this work. Right. I didn't struggle, but they wanted to see me, I think, somewhat excel, right? And the conversation I had with my head coach, I never forget, it was like, I don't know if I would say it was more, he wasn't talking down, what's the condescending, but it was like, I think he felt like,
save you.
Yeah, and
like he about to make you become this person, and
he was, but he also felt like I didn't have what it was motivation to me because I felt like he didn't believe in me, and with the academics part.
Correct.
So I was like, okay. I got to prove myself academically here. And so I did. But his whole conversation, I felt like he didn't think I was smart and that I was going to be able to excel and academically as well as I did athletically. Like I said, I was freshman of the year. I led the league in rebounding. So I did a lot of nice things. My field goal percentage was #1 in the GLIAC my freshman year. So I really had some things that happened, and I was shocked because I only had one move. Give me the ball, I'm shooting a turnaround jump shot. That's it. I knew how to do that. That's it. So he made me work, and I felt like I'm going to prove to him that I can do this work. And my sophomore year, I made the academic honors, academic honors team for Wayne State, and I was really proud myself of that accomplishment. But I felt like he motivated me to do that because I don't think he believed in me.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. That's just they have that motivation. And let's just go into, we're going to fast forward because we got to talk about you becoming a referee. We got to talk about what you do for day job because you wouldn't believe it. Well, thinking about that experience at Wayne State and having that, I relate to it in a little different facet because when I went to the University of Detroit, and you know my family tight, like your family is tight. I had my entire family at all my games, right? At UAD in high school, my extended family, friends. My dad had T-shirts. People was asking for T-shirts and all kinds of stuff. And now I make the decision to transfer, and I'm going out to Vegas, which is on the other side of the country, literally. And I remember vividly crying on the airplane because I said, this is the dumbest thing I've ever done. The flight attendant was like, are you okay? Do you need some water? And I'm like, I'm leaving my family. This is dumb. And ultimately, we know Vegas was one of the best decisions I ever made. But even though I had friends AAU and I was playing with, different races and cultures and making all those friends, when I got to Vegas, you talking about from Midwest to West Coast was like, where am I at? Wow. What's going on? I'm not sure. The first concert I went to in Vegas was Too Short and somebody else. I say, oh, this is so West Coast. What is going on? This is the first concert. But essentially, I can remember sitting in the cafeteria at school. It was my second day on campus because Coach said we had to stay on campus for a year before you can move off. And I'm just sitting there by myself like, man, I never had the by myself feeling.
Oh, no.
And it was 5 guys from the men's team that walked in, and somehow they already knew who I was, and they just sat down. You that new girl from Detroit. And I said, okay, yes. And who are y'all? Yeah, we on the men's team, and blah, blah, blah. And ultimately, I started talking to them. I met them before I met my actual teammates. And I knew I had one teammate, Anthony Robinson, who's from Detroit as well. She was out there. She helped me get to Vegas. But I had that bit of shock, I guess you could say, that you had as well. And it's a bit of loneliness, but we also knew we had to talk to people.
Yep.
And my personality has always been outgoing, but there's people who don't have it. And it's a little different now because the kids in their phone, right? That's how you talk to people. They not having conversations. So how would you say was your experience that you had to begin to talk to these women, to be associated with them? Because coming from different worlds don't mean you can't function together.
Oh, no, I agree.
Right? But how did you work that out your time?
As I mentioned, I had the one teammate that played at Osborne who kind of knew me. And so that was good because I was friends with her, and then I became friends with her roommate. And that was kind of like my first year there. But when I first got on the campus, I didn't stay in Forest Apartments where they kept all the athletes because, of course, I told you they kind of offered me a scholarship random, so they gave me housing, which was like the next block over. And at that time, they put me with a transfer from Ferris State, a white young lady, and then another black girl that was from Benton Harbor. And so we all shared, and again, this was all new to me, so I kind of had to embrace the fact that I'm meeting new people, right, who don't know me. And at first I thought, wow, my one friend, roommate at that time, she asked a lot of questions,
Right.
But, I'm thinking this is, this is what people do.
This is what they do.
They have to,
ask
they want to
questions.
learn you, and I was like, God, that's kind of nosy. You know what I mean? Like, I felt like, don't ask me about my family. Don't ask me about,
Yes.
I didn't want nobody to ask me that because I'm pretty honest. And I felt like I was going to, tell my story at some point, but I didn't want to tell it right away.
Let me do it on my time. Let me do it in my time. And I think that is major in our world, in our society today, because people quickly jump to somebody is racist or they in my business.
That's true.
And through my basketball journey, having friends, the truth of the matter was I had white teammates who had never interacted with somebody black before. And if they
And
did,
vice
it was
versa.
like one black person in their school. And now that I'm your friend, they're like, can I please ask these questions? Because I just been wanting to know.
And that is
why
so
don't
true.
you wash your hair every day?
They would ask me about my hair.
Yes.
I wore braids all the time. They would, oh, that was really cool.
Yes.
And I'm like thinking, okay. So it was really different for me. But I promise you, that diversity, I needed that.
Yes.
Especially that brought me to where I am now in my career. And I'm be talking sports after sports,
Yes.
with networking with other people, right? And then we talk in my job, and then we talk in refereeing. So all of that diversity that I learned at Wayne State, being able to communicate and talk to people and understand that people, just because they're from somewhere else, a different culture or a background, or we all still are united with this sports. You know what I mean? We all
playing basketball.
This is it.
It's
We got one
same.
goal.
Right.
We want to win. It's a team.
Yes.
And I honestly thought my 4 years there, we had a pretty close team. At some point, they would say, okay, the black girls hang with the black girls, the white girls hang with the black. But I was the one who hung with both.
Right.
So,
Yes.
and my roommate was the one who hung with both.
Yep.
So it was perfect that she and I was roommates my next 3 years throughout Wayne State because we just got along with everybody. We was that mix, like, okay, we bringing the people together. This is,
and that's what it is. And I hate to say, but some of these things put me in a place of when I'm like, I didn't even recognize my ignorance. I had a friend in Vegas who was Panamanian, but I just thought she was, a black girl from California. And then one day her mom called her and she just speaking fluent Spanish. And I'm like, who are you talking
threw
to?
you off.
And so she's like, my mom. I said, y'all speak Spanish? And so she's like, Panamanian, you never met Panamanians? And I said, no.
I don't
and
think
so
I've
I
ever
went
met
to
one
California with her, and it was a picnic, and everybody speaking to me in Spanish. And I was like, oof, I'm from Detroit. I'm not in the family. And then I ended up meeting another guy who played overseas, played for the Globetrotters. He was Panamanian.
Oh.
And it was just amazing to be, that's why I tell people, take those experiences, because you just will never know what you will learn and what you will figure out. And we're gonna touch on, not quickly, but we'll touch on that. Now from Wayne State, you finished.
But wait a minute, let me cut you off. Not to cut you off, but when you talked about the men's team embracing you, I felt like the men's team embraced me a little bit more too.
Yes.
Because there was more African Americans on the team.
Yep.
And Terrence Walker, and you probably know T-Walk, he is the one who gave me my name D Little.
I love
so
it.
He's the one who named me that, and that's how everybody from that point started calling me D Little. So I just wanted to throw that little piece out there, that how I got my name.
They called me Detroit for a while in Vegas. And I said, okay, y'all gotta stop calling me Detroit. Hey, like your little southern accent. I said, y'all have not heard a southern accent if you think I have one, but okay, whatever. But, all right, now, Wayne State is over. And I wanted you to graduate. And I want to talk about your career, but before we go into career refereeing, I need everybody to know this is a Hall of Famer. This woman here started playing basketball in the 11th grade, got a scholarship on happenstance.
Lord
and
Jesus.
If you walk in the Mathi Center today, her picture is on the wall because she is a Hall of Famer. I mean, how phenomenal is that? That's why I want to encourage people, never stop working.
Never stop working.
Work hard.
And you do not have to be a statistic of your environment. That's what I preach.
Yes.
You do not have to be a statistic of your environment. So when I hear people who have similar stories as mine, or my parents did this, and my mama did this, and my dad did this. And I think to them, I have myself, and I have 5 other siblings. We've all graduated from college, high school, and all graduated from college with degrees. And you do not have to be a statistic of where you came from. And I believe that firmly,
that's
wholeheartedly.
True. That's true. But people need to hear that because they think that they can only sit in the product of their environment. And sometimes when we know all these cases of many players that have went away, had success, and then when they get in trouble, it's because they come back home and they with the people that's not doing nothing with themselves, and they think that they have to stay true to where my hood, where I'm from, and whatever is the case.
And you don't.
And you don't have to do that. When you have
and if you have talent, or sports is a talent for you, you should use it. Take advantage of it. It's a blessing. And it will take you places. It really will.
And my key that I will say over and over again that I want people to ingrain in them, that being an athlete is a business. And you're the business. And protect your business.
That's a good point.
Don't let nobody mess up your business, because sports can take you a long way, just like business can take you a long way, or business smarts or information. So protect your business, because you're the only one that can protect you the most, right?
And when you speak on that Hall of Fame, it's so funny that in the moment, I didn't realize what big of a deal it was, right? I get this phone call and they tell me, hey, you're going to induct into the Hall of Fame, and I just got married. And so I literally had just gotten married. I might have been married like 2 weeks. And I'm like, Hall of Fame, okay.
You just like,
they was like, okay, well, you're going to have to prepare a speech. We're going to get all your accolades together. We're going to put it all together. And I'm like, oh, okay. Still never, the moment never hit me until maybe a week after. Yeah. I was like, you know what? You just got inducted to the Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame.
So my story is unique. Not only that I got inducted to the Hall of Fame, but I was the first in Wayne State history whoever got inducted within 10 years of graduating.
Look at that.
So they never had anybody inducted. It's usually 25 or 30 years later that they induct people into the Hall of Fame, but I was the first person they ever put in within 10 years.
That's phenomenal.
So that was something good. Again, none of it hit me until afterwards, and I'm like, wow, that's really a big deal. When people started finding out, why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you tell me? And I'm like, I didn't know.
I just thought, okay, I'm in the Hall of Fame.
I'm in the Hall of Fame. I gotta go somewhere and tear a speech.
You that bomb, you just
And I think I was just that humble though. Yeah. You know what I mean? I was ignorant to what, I wouldn't say ignorant. I didn't really know how big of a deal it was. I told you I didn't play basketball that long. So it's like, okay, Hall of Fame. And I see celebrities get inducted to the Hall of Fame, but it never really clicked on me, dawned on me that people that play sports in college would be inducted to the Hall of Fame. Absolutely. So it didn't really come until afterwards that people started saying, oh, that's a big deal. Oh, we want to do an article on you. Oh, people started contacting me for the Free Press. Oh, you came from Osborne, and we want to do an article. And I'm like, wow. Hall of Fame, okay. Yeah. So, that's when it became a big deal, but I didn't know in the moment. I just really didn't know.
Didn't know. But you're a Hall of Famer. And I go back, Dee is very humble in life, in her approach, even when it had to, but we know when it's time for us to talk that talk, I'm in the Hall of Fame. That's why the Mathis Center is really the D Little Center. So
I do call it that now.
It's the D Little Center. And I think, but that is part of when you are raised right, or when you have been blessed in a lot of things, we start to learn, and my sister says this all the time, and even going to church, you taught to be humble and, be quiet and just thank the Lord that you got these things. And while we do all of those things, sometimes we just got to talk that talk. You got to let people know. And we know when refereeing, people will talk to us like, I don't know nothing about basketball. I said, I've done more than any of these kids ever will. Let's be clear.
And those people really didn't know. And that's funny because you don't want to be that person, but you have to be like, look, just Google me.
Google
you know
me.
What I mean?
And find out.
That's how you find out.
Spell my name correctly, and then you will know exactly who you're talking to.
Exactly.
And sometimes we just gotta take it there, but I think there's nothing wrong with that either. You just gotta let people know, like this is the deal. And okay, now we are Hall of Famer, even graduating. I want to tie in together your career and also how you got started with refereeing. So let's start with your career and how you got into that, and that segues into how you started refereeing.
Okay, so I got my degree in criminal justice. I wanted to work for the narcotics department. I really did. I felt like forensics and narcotics is what I wanted to go into. And I talked about being undercover, so my first goal was be a police officer. They told me I had to be a police officer first. When they told me that, I was like, I don't want to be a police officer. You know what I mean?
I did be a Detroit police.
I just didn't want to do it. And then my grandmother was like, no, that's too dangerous. You don't need to be doing that. And she kind of talked me out of following that whole career path, right? So then I said, okay, criminal justice can take you into a lot of other things that you can do with law enforcement, right? So I said, let me just try to, I'll start in the prison, right? I'll take a job there. And
then said, you go, I don't want to be a police officer, but I'll start in the prison?
Well, she didn't like that either. Listen, my grandmother didn't like that either. She was totally against my whole major. Like, you switched the whole game, right? So, but I told her, I said, listen, I want to go into criminal justice. I just wanted to do some type of law enforcement, the investigating part of it. I loved Matlaika, and I wanted to solve stories and forensics, and I wanted to be that person on the crime scene trying to figure out what's happening here, right? So that was my whole thought. But okay, I went into criminal. I ended up taking this job with the corrections facility that I started out in. I worked there for 4 years. I worked there way too long. My whole thought, you didn't need a degree to work as a correction officer at that time. I literally can go to work and cuss people out every day if I wanted to, and people could cuss me out, and I could take the abuse from the prisoners, and that kind of got me in this calm, what I do for refereeing, this whole shield, you know what I mean? Be able to handle being cussed out every day at work, you know what I mean? So anyway, being a correction officer for 4 years, I said, okay, I can't stay here. I knew I started working in the office part, which my last 2 years, which was a little bit better because I was running the prison. Like, I literally was running everything that the prison do. The cameras, the security, the count for the prisoners, the lunch line, what time they eat. I was doing everything. So that was like, oh, this whole office field. So then I kind of thought, okay, let me go into something else. And I just applied for the probation department. I figured, let me try to see where this probation thing take me, and that took me into helping others. And that's what I really liked doing, because I felt like I was meeting people that was like me, that came from backgrounds like me. Mothers use drugs or came from a drug, and I could relate. I'm dealing with people who I know have drug problems. The minute they sit down, I know what cocaine smells like. I know you've been high today. I know you're getting high today. Just tell me, you tell the truth.
Just tell the truth.
I was Miss Little. You know what I mean? So it's like, I felt like that was the biggest reward to me, to be able to help others and get them into treatment and get them educationally where they needed to be, whether it's GED or high school. And I made some really good influences, mainly on my women. I didn't have a whole bunch of women on my caseload, but because I dealt with the sex offender population. But I end up helping a lot of young men. And to this day, if I go somewhere and see somebody, they be like, "Oh, you really helped me." And that made me feel really good. So I love my job. Obviously, I'm 27 years in the game. I'm now a supervisor at the probation department, and so yeah, I love what I do. I don't make a big of difference impact on people as I did when I was an agent, because now I'm dealing with a whole team, and I'm trying to get them to be what I was.
Get the team together, so that's the impact.
So,
get the team together, get the rest of the people together.
And they don't have what I had, and so and I have to tell people, you have to love your job in order to do it, right? I tell them that all the time in our meeting. That's like my line, and they laugh. They be like, "Okay, Miss Little," because I have to try to motivate them, and I feel like I'm an engager, and so that's my job. I'm really good at dealing with people. 2, I am very knowledgeable, right? But 3, my interaction with people, dealing with people, and motivating them and engaging them is what I do. Kind of like what I do with us.
It's just what you do.
Yeah,
Listen,
you know what I mean? Like, hey, let's
our
get
friendship in our crew. She also organizes and brings together all the time. And thinking about that, so that translates all over into being an official. And we know we recruit kids. You have a camp where we recruit, I shouldn't just say kids, adults, former athletes, all these people of interest that want to give back and do something. So how did that translate into you wanting to become a referee?
So ironically, I was asked, myself and another COSAC, by a former official, which is he's currently deceased right now, but Lenny Meminger.
Mm-hmm.
He was one who kind of talked me and Cosette into refereeing. He said, "Hey, y'all play basketball? Y'all out there playing for free?" We played at Joe Dumars. Y'all out there playing for free?
My daddy out of game. We was playing at Wayne State in the playoffs in high school, and I made a basket. My daddy ran on the court to give me a high five, and he stopped the game. He was like, "I'll put you out of here." So he.
Oh wow! Hilarious.
Only referee almost kicked my daddy. If that's where everything. So carry on. So you go back.
Yeah. So he basically said, "Hey, y'all can make money." I think Cosette had played overseas. I never played overseas. I had some offers to play, but never took advantage of that. That's one thing I wish I could go back and do over. But nonetheless, so he's like, "Hey, y'all can make money. Y'all out there playing. Joe Dumars paying them that money to play in the league. Y'all could be making money refereeing, right?" So one day he said, "I'm going to show you my check." And he pulled out a check, and I'll never forget, it was like $2,500 for one game. And I looked at the check and I said, "You got that for one game?"
You're like, to referee?
To referee?
I don't even know what they do.
And listen, and he said, "Listen, I have a camp. I can train you on what to do, how to do it. With this is for college, but high school, he kind of ran down the fees, what they get paid for college." He said, "Listen, y'all two black females, y'all know the game, and this could really be something big. Y'all can move up, go to college if you're interested in." And I'm like, okay, and I'm telling Cosette, we need to try to go to this man camp, So anyway, I didn't end up going to his camp. I ended up having a conflict. She went, and I went to a different camp. I went to Mike Smith camp. Yep. And how I found out about his camp was through other referees. Like, hey, you didn't make Lenny's camp. There's another guy in Detroit area. He does really good training. Of course, they didn't have the nicest things to say about Mike Smith. But I said, hey, just give me his number.
He trained some of the best referees to have some of the most difficult games, and that are college officials.
And prepared us.
And prepared, because I came, later after you guys, because I'm younger than you and Cosette, but you talking about wanting to know your stuff.
The best trainer ever.
Best trainer.
I'm just going to, hands down.
Yes.
I give him all his props. I think everybody, I call it the School of Mike Smith, anybody that came through the School of Mike Smith is very good.
Very good.
And he made sure of that. He ran the St. Cecilia League during the summers, and that's how I really learned. I went to his camp, but obviously he trained me every day. He made me come up to St. Cecilia every day. Yes. You know how them games was at St. Cecilia, boys and girls. And so we were only getting paid $18, but it wasn't about that. It was about learning. $18.
That's so wild. That was some of the best basketball you could ever see in your life.
So I started in 2003.
Yes.
And so, he ended up having me referee up there every day. And so my first year, I was doing varsity. And that first year, I was doing college, junior college. So he prepared me, though. And he had a league, so I was working his at that time, he had the Wolverine Hoosier Athletic Conference, which is the WAC. And so he had that, and then I worked junior college for Mike Conlon. Mm-hmm. And so I was on the road, you know what I mean? And one thing led to another, and I felt like, okay, I could move up in this thing and start going to some of the Division I camps. But to back up to my story, is part of it is Lemony Members is the one who encouraged me. And then I thought, okay, let me take this and run with it. Of course, I wanted to be good. Mike Smith is the one who basically trained me all the way through. And once I got into it good, I felt like, hey, we need to have more of our females out here. So I started trying to get more females. Like, hey, we need to get some more. Talking to like Sherelle and other people that I knew that play basketball. Like, hey, we can make this money doing this and that. And so, one thing led to another, networking and bringing other people in. Hey, we need a referee. There's not very many females. At that time, it was only Gail Richardson and Kia Smith that in our area. You know what I mean? Right. So I felt like, hey, we need to have more women out here doing the girls' games. Or in general.
In general. It needs to be women, and obviously more women are getting a lot more opportunity on the men's side as well, which is phenomenal, but it just wasn't women at all.
Nope.
And even to this day, if it's three of us that's on a game, a women's game, and it's three women, people, it never fails. People
They
are,
be
I can't
so
believe
happy.
we
Girl
got
power.
all female crew.
Yeah,
all
they
women
do.
Here. It's all this. And
They
it
applaud
never
us.
fails. And it is crazy in a sense to think that it's that rare in women's basketball.
Yep.
That we walk on a college floor and they see 3 women together, somebody from the stands, the coaches, the players, always say something about it being 3 women.
And they love
on the
it.
Floor. Yeah. And so going into that and translating into what you do now. So now you assign conferences, high school leagues that we have, and you also run a camp that helps to teach. I help you as one of your clinicians on the camp and everything. What led you to putting that out there outside of, you already been helping people, right? So first of all, let's tie this all together. You was mama,
helping
mama
everybody
sister,
else,
right? Mama sister,
yeah.
And then you go and you connecting cultures in college,
yeah.
And then now when you get your work, you're changing lives in the sense of I can relate to you and I understand where you're coming from in that change. And I was translating into this, and we also connect because we don't have kids. We're both aunties.
That's correct.
And you're definitely auntie mama.
Auntie mama.
Because I know your nieces and nephews, and I'm auntie mama to my nieces and nephews. It's all the same. And what brought you to
It's all helping each other. When you just put it all together, that is so funny that you would put it all together like that. But I'm going to say this, even with the officiating piece of it, right, I don't know that in my mind, it was like, what can I do? Not saying I was the best official, but what can I do to bring more people over to this side, right? Yes. Because it's a shortage of officials, right? So that was my whole thought into running the camp. And I was like, I'm doing it for free. I don't want to charge nobody to come to learn something that they're going to get paid to do. I don't care if I can get RanDee or Kamari or Ray or whoever to help me do this for free, let's do it. Yes. You know what I mean? Like, let's just get the people here to train them.
Everybody was for it because somebody did it for us.
Exactly.
There were plenty of people that was helping me for free. You being one of them. But there were plenty of people that helped train me for free.
Yeah, so I just felt like, camps would be beneficial to bringing along people. And, and in our circle, we have so many great officials, such as yourself and other people who are up and coming and now into Division I level that can bring along other people. And I felt like we need to network and bring younger officials up, but also more females. I'm all for that girl power thing.
I'm for it all day.
And so with our women in our area, we good. We got a lot, that are doing well, and we just need to make sure that we are encouraging others to come along. So.
Well, I will definitely be spreading the information. I do anyway. But as people see this podcast, please reach out so that we can get you in officiating. We can get you started because we do have a strong crew and a core of people who love training
and we
love helping, and we tight. We are friends, and we.
It's
love
not a
what
clique.
We do. It's
not a clique though. It's not a clique. We open to everybody. Come on in.
Come on in. Join us. Hang with us. Do all that. We want a good time. And I thank you so much for coming. But a part of Sports Society is all we ask is trust. So if you had to give your one tidbit to the people that they can trust you with this information to be able to use in life, sports, whatever it is, what is it that you would give them?
So I would say that, your strength is in your story. And as I mentioned, you don't have to be a statistic of your environment. I truly believe that where you come from and the environment, atmosphere that you grew up in does not have to be who you are in your adult life, in your career, or with the people that you network with.
That's it. And I'm RanDee Camille. This is the Miss D Little, the famous D Little. Thank you so much. I love you.
I love you too.
And this is Sports Society. All we ask is trust.